Are you a superhero to your kid?
Absolutely.
Not when your boss is in the room. What's best for your kids is to put your money into something, the stress, go through all of it, so when your child becomes a man, he doesn't have to work for nobody.
Right, well, that's the
you
whole
can
thing.
just pass it to him. Can another man say you're fired?
Absolutely.
No one can tell me that. That's priceless.
But I'm
Do
not
you
gonna
think
say-
your son enjoys you calling somebody else a boss? Don't you think your son would rather wake up with you and you could pick him up from school instead of having to do a 9 to 5? Don't you think your son would love if his name was up there? I taught my son never to have a boss. He's 23. He owns a restaurant. He has cookies. He has equity. He busts his ass so he can pass it on to his son. If that's not what you're hustling for, you're selfish. You keep saying I'm worried about my kids. You worried about you.
My kids.
So you enjoy the safety and the security of a job every day. But there's no pride in that to me. But when you do something that's for yourself and your family, it never feels like work. I hustle for my last name. I don't hustle for my first.
You got to stay motivated out here, whatever you're doing. If you're not doing nothing that motivates you, fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? For me, my motivation comes from doing what I love to do. So I'm going to keep going at it. I'm going to keep moving at it. I'm going to keep, climbing higher and higher because that's my choice. And when you stand still, how can you expect to move? How can you expect change? How can you expect progression? The progression comes from taking risks. Progression comes from taking chances. You know what I mean? Success comes from failing. You can't win without taking an L. That's impossible.
I say you got to have tunnel vision. One thing, things might be not going right for you today because you know it's the end of the light. Like you got to think about 4 months from now. So all your moves, they can't see your moves right away. You know what I'm saying? Just wait for your time to come back around and just keep working. Just keep doing you. Like stay doing you no matter what, good or bad. It's working.
Don't get scared by the result that you getting or the one that you ain't getting. Don't let that shit discourage you, man. Just keep working. Keep working. Keep literally work. Like that's the only thing that gonna get you out of the hell you in. Work. It ain't nothing. Don't let nobody trick you. Don't let nobody tell you it's something different. Don't let nobody tell you one song gonna do it for you. It ain't. You gotta work. You literally got to work more than you complain. You got to work more than you think. You got to work more than you breathe. You got to want this shit more than you want to talk. You got to want this shit more than you want to anything in your life. Once you start thinking like that, it start happening how you want it to happen. When you want it, for real. Like most niggas just say they want it because it sound cool to say. You got to really want this shit and you got to really sacrifice. Sacrifice, consistency, and patience. You got to sacrifice to get it. And you got to be consistent enough to keep it and patient enough to let it happen for you. Like, it gonna happen, but you gotta be patient enough to let it. Like,
it doesn't cost $1 to dream, and in my dream, everything's perfect. So I don't think about the reasons why or how tired I'm gonna be. I'm inspired by what I do, so I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm gonna make sure I do everything and be a parent every day, all day. I've been able to do it. People traditionally would say I was crazy.
Right.
They all did. And unless you have a dream that people think are crazy, then your dream is whack.
Right.
I dream big, bro. You can always make things happen, and you should never think about the reasons why you can't. You only think about the reasons why you can. I don't visualize the can't.
I'm in my own. You got to have tunnel vision, and there's so many trials and tribulations you're going to go through. You know what I'm saying? If you keep focusing on the negative or focusing on anything that's not part of your vision, it's going to throw you off. That's all I can say.
you gotta sacrifice for what you want. If you don't never sacrifice shit, that means you ain't want shit. Literally. You gotta know for sure what you gonna sacrifice and then just go shoot at whatever you trying to get, because you gonna get it. As long as you sacrificing something. As long as you got, see, this shit for me, it's like patience, sacrifice, and goddamn, basically that. Like for me, like to win, like the key to success, that shit really like sacrifice, patience, and consistency. As long as a nigga consistent, you gonna win, bro.
It's a mentality. I want to have generations of this. What if your kids aren't as strong as you?
Mm-hmm.
What if your kids' kids aren't as strong as you? Then what?